the way in which his fingers connected to his heart and his head, and I have no clue where that gift came from except from God.
The cross can portray through the star pattern on the back, the birth, the figure of Christ in the traditional cruciform corpus, crucified corpus, speaks to the death, but the whole nature of the piece and the transparency of the figure and the sense that it's rising speaks to the resurrection. So you have all three of those events that are simultaneously dealt with, and that's something that you can't do in an opaque, solid material, at least that I haven't been able to do, but can do very beautifully in lucite. All of the lucite pieces that I've done are really the offspring of the cathedral work in that they deal with being and non-being. The difference being that in the cathedral work, the figures emerge from something that's tangible, from a mass of stone. But more beautifully, I think, in a sense, in the lucite works, the figures emerge and disappear literally. And they emerge from light and disappear into light. And it's a beautiful poetic variation on the creation theme. Just casting lucite in some kind of a free form, which is what figurative art is, as opposed to a solid geometric, was an enormous hurdle to be overcome and took several years. And in fact, it took about 6 or 7 years before we were even able to reliably make a cast in the acrylic monomer. It took years more to develop the idea of the embedment technique. The sculpture is defined purely by light. It's light that the forms move in and out of. It's light that defines a very delicate sense of image. When you do a piece in clay that's going to be for bronze or stone, it's very easy to visualize and understand what it's going to look like with it, if you have the experience in the final form. With lucite, it's almost impossible. You have certain things that you know will happen, but you really don't know how effective they'll be. They may be spectacular. So you just have to keep making changes on the lucite piece itself once the model is done to try to find a way that'll bring it out as lively as you originally had hoped it would be. And there's something about this particular material, lucite, which has a very watery, warm, flowing kind of quality. In the embedment technique, I can capitalize on all of those fluid, delicate qualities of the material itself and compound them into images that are suggestive of dreams or memories or visions of one kind or another.
La Croce del Millennio, un'opera di Frederick Hart.
Artists have been presenting works to the Pope for, almost, well over 1,000 years probably. And to be a part of that continuum of all of the great Renaissance and Baroque masters was a very inspiring thing. The Pope himself was an inspiration. When he saw the star, he really lit up and he understood the whole idea. He gave actually a little homily on the spot, and he did say, he sort of thought about it and nodded, and he said, "You've created a profound theological statement," which I found very gratifying. I made up my mind very early on that that my goal in life, my ambition in life, was to change the course of art, to bring it back to those great classical traditions of beauty and moral value.